there is something that Trump, the president of US, has done, which makes me very happy. This time he did not invite the African so-called leaders to go and see while he's being sworn in as a president. Why? Because he's sending one message, 2, 3 messages. Africans, we don't need you after we have used you to be where we are today as a country. First. Secondly, Africa, you need to stay in your country. Build your country for your people to stay in that country. And Trump is sending a lot of African people back home. Why? Because Africa, you cannot continue destroying your country for your people to run in my country. And I need to feed your people because you have destroyed your country. It does not go like that. And that is why I always tell African people, stop blaming Western a lot. Stop blaming Western. Stop whining about Western. Oh, Western, they did this to our country. Western, they did this. Western, when they come to your country, they advise the so-called greedy leaders. We need this and this. And those leaders, they don't have the brains of their own. The only thing they do, they look at their greedy, what they can pocket, and they capitalize on that. So end of the day, we start crying that the Western are crippling our countries. Western are doing this. Western are doing this. Let me ask you Kenyans. Let's take, for example, in Kenya. There was an impeachment of deputy president which was going on, which was unconstitutional. It is not in our constitution. And our MPs and these dogs we voted to parliament, they were given 20 to 30 million. Our own taxpayers' money, they were bribed to impeach our deputy president unconstitutional. That money, if we could have saved it, where will be Kenya today? Secondly, Kenyan president has used a lot of money to lobby for Raila in African Union seat. We have used more than 500 billion, my friend, to lobby for Raila. Bribed every president to stand for our so-called leader of the poor. And if that is not enough, our own president, he was trying to bribe the guy who is running for the African Union seat next to Raila, Yusuf. Our president was bribing that man 6 billion. Just look at the money which is running around. Then you tell me that Kenya, we cannot build our own country. We cannot build a country that Kenyans, when they hear they are being deported, they will be happy to come back home. Kenyans, we have money. Now the big picture is here. US has withdrawn from HWO. What does that mean? It means that Kenyans have to raise 40 billion to buy drugs for the HIV people in their country. And here is where Kenya, they want funds from another country, while we are paying tax and we are paying a lot of money. But our president is looting that money with its government, which are very ignorant, and keeping it in another country. And they are making us believe that we are poor. Kenya, we are not poor. Kenya, we are very wealthy, my friend. We have very good tax money. We pay a lot in Kenya Revenue Authority. And I'm watching where will Ruto go next to beg for money. Because recently, I want to say thank you to Japan. They refused to give our president a loan. And we are on our knees asking the international guys, don't lend Kenyans money. Because the minute you lend them, the ignorant guys in the government currently, they steal that money and we are crippled. So, next time, if you want to blame Western countries, do the research. Are you fair when you are blaming them? Are they the real cause of the misery in Africa? Because Trump or Biden did not tell Ruto to bribe the MPs to impeach the deputy governor unconstitutionally, okay? He did not tell President Ruto to award everyone 20 to 30 million to impeach someone. Right now, again, the MPs are going to be bribed to pass the bill of conflict interest, because right now the Ruto government, they have woken up, they need bribes from other governments. So if you want to buy a car for Ruto, or you want to bake a cake and take it to him, when you give it to him, it's not going to sound like a bribe. It's a present. And that is the bill president is pushing so much through Ishungwa. And right now is bribing MP 2 to 3 to 4 million to pass that bill of conflict of interest. Now, did Triumph advise Ruto to bribe guys to pass bills? Do you know why our president bribes for everything? Because he does not believe in the Constitution of Kenya. He was not there while we were fighting for that constitution and democracy. And right now, and we know he has been a student of Moi era since 1992. When Kenyans, they were fighting for a new democracy, this president was so busy defending Moi in Y2K and whatever. This president, he was the one in 2010 told Kenyans, don't vote for this constitution. And right now, he's doing his master's and he wants to graduate as a dictator. And that is something we are not going to allow him to graduate. We cannot allow this president to graduate as a dictator. He cannot take us backwards. And he cannot make Kenyans go back to where they come from. Now, Kenyans, who you are on the deportation list, come back home. Let's build our country. Stop shedding tears to someone else's country. Okay? And stop blaming the Western for every bad thing happens in your country. In Nigeria, they voted another president. They woke up the next day with a sleeping man as a president. Was that the Biden fault? It was not Biden's fault. It is African fault. Now I'm telling you, African people, next time you are not satisfied with whatever you have been voting for, stop burning your country. Stop destroying your roads. Stop burning the hospitals. Go and burn the politicians themselves. That is what we are supposed to do as an African continent. Africans, we are always going to be treated as second-class citizens in other people's country. Because you know, that is who we are. That is how these filthy politicians have made us to be. Now, for the Burkina Faso president, we love you. We are sending our prayers. And we are telling you, continue doing what Thomas Sankara could not do. And we are praying for you. And the Mali president, continue achieving the African dream. Let's see what we can do about the rest of the African president. They are sleeping. And they think that we are sleeping. And they are thinking that we are scared of them. Since African president, you cannot create the Africa we want. We are going to take back Africa and we are going to create the Africa we want. And maybe very soon, not maybe, very soon, America will regret deporting Africans as a second-class citizen. Don't you ever forget that. Africa is a powerful continent, blessed with everything. And we don't forget that. Don't forget. And don't you ever forget that. So when you see your deportation letter, feel proud you're coming home to build home. Stop crying, Africans. You cannot cry for a white man land. Come back home.